All right, so it's whatever day it is, and we're working on coil pots. So I'm going to give you a little demonstration in case you were absent during class or whatever. This is what we're working on. This is week 2A. 2A. So during first, third, and fourth blocks, I did a little demonstration. I made this lovely little start to a coil pot. You have round bats, you have square bats with you. I have a round bat, same material. I also happen to have this very fancy banding wheel, little turntable, which is nice. I'm working at the kitchen counter at my friend's place. This is where I hold up for quarantine. So I've got the in there at work, so I've made a mess of their kitchen. All right. So I'm gonna give you a little demo to make sure that we're all on the same page, to make sure it's recorded in case you miss anything, and here for your reference. I'm gonna make some coils that go out, and then I'm gonna show you how to bring it back in since your pot has to go in. I've already got the height down, so I'm not worried about that. So, oh God, so many things on the counter. I have usurped from their silverware drawer a knife for spreading butter or jam, possibly a nice lemon curd on a scone. I've also usurped a fork. How delightful. They also had their nice clean dishes out, and they had this measuring cup, so I put water in it. And I made it dirty and covered it with clay. Won't they be so happy when they return? So you got your clay. You might have a wire. You don't need a wire. I'm just going to peel off a chunk. Boom. Move that out of my way. You start with a coil. You're going to get a nice sausage of clay going, or like whatever you call that. That's fine. Some people call it a sausage. Sure. You can do a little rolly thing, but you start with that. I like to have a nice flat surface. You can just like do this the whole way. I like to have this nice flat surface. So as you may have seen in Joel Queen's video, he talks about having his fingers go out and then come back in as he rolls it. Kind of like that, a nice motion. Oh, sleeves. So it does take time to develop, and you're trying to get a nice even consistency, nice even thickness. If it's a little thicker in one place, you can spend a little more time on that. Your fingers can be pretty adept at feeling thicknesses, and they're pretty good at working it. Just rolling it out, rolling it out. If you find that it starts flopping around because it's flat, you can do a little twist where you put fingertips on one side, palm on the other, and just do a little twist, kind of like a churro, get a little spiral going. That helps make it roll more smoothly. Try not to have your coil be any thinner than your thumb. You can always thin it out by pinching later. And so you end up with something kind of nice and even like that. It does take time to develop. It took me a long time. So if this is dry, this has been drying out in the sun because it was a little floppy, and I don't have the skills that that woman on YouTube has from Burkina Faso. So I'm taking my little water cup. I'm just going to go around the rim to wet that a little bit to rehydrate it. And then I'm going to use that fork to score it and get a little slip going on this top level to make sure that my coil sticks. I do not want these things separating. I'm going to take the nice fork and just go around the rim, making these little grooves. This is scoring. Oh yes, we know this. This is how you score in clay. I know, there's no like cheering crowds or anything. I'm gonna go around again, just for good measure. Couldn't resist. I'm gonna go the other way to get a little crosshatch action going. You can add sound effects if you want, rather than the oppressive silence of an empty household. Just a light touch more water. So it's nice and sticky, the water's soaking in, and I know that my clay is going to stick. So to go out, I'm going to put it sort of more on the outside of the rim, kind of like kind of like here, and it'll help the form go out a little bit. Then I'm going to show you how to get it go back. So I'm going to do 2 coils. Fast forward me or skip forward as much as like to whatever you need. So I'm placing it right there, and then I'm just going to use, I'm supporting the coil with my left hand off camera, and I'm just going to go slowly rotate and try and do the same short, consistent motion with my finger, this hand, pinching the clay onto that wet, slipped and scored surface. I'm getting closer to this, so I'm going to kind of tighten that one up a little bit. I'm only going to do 1 round here. So you can go around a couple times. You can have it come here, and then you can go up with a longer coil. You can do an individual coil if you want. However you do it, that's fine if it works. It needs to work. It needs to work. I'm going to now take this finger, and I'm going to support the outside with this hand. I'm just going to blend that coil into the pot that already exists. A little downward motion. The wetter clay of the coil at the top is going to blend into the drier clay at the bottom. There is a little squeeze out of that slip between. That's fine. It's just going to help make sure they're connected. Just rotate, slowly rotate. It's just the same motion, consistency of movement, economy of movement, blending very nicely. Cool. Do the same thing on the outside. You can use a knife, a rib if you want. You could use this, use that as a separate option. You can blend with a tool. You can blend with a stick, a reed, a flat piece of metal, a ruler. Whatever you find that works is good. I believe back in the day, well, in clay we have things called ribs, and they're nice to smooth and work with pots. And I believe they're called ribs because back in the day, people used to use ribs of animals to work with their pottery. That's how you get it to go up and start to go out. I'm going to do another coil on my tiny work surface. I'm trying to get it to go in. I'm going to rip off another hunk of clay. Squish, squish, squish. You can see that side, you might be able to see that side's flopping around a little bit. I'm just going to push it down a little bit and try and get it to go even. And again, once again, the finger and palm twist helps to make it more even, more consistent. So that's a great trick that I learned. It's super helpful. Really stepped up my coiling game. Ooh, ooh. I ran into some water and that's gross. All right, so I got my nice big coil. I've just put this last one on and straight from the bag clay. And I know that I'm going to blend both sides, inside and outside. So I'm not going to put water on. But I am going to try to get it to go. I'm going to try to get it to go in. So I'm going to angle it back a little more. And I'm going to use my thumb to sort of push more on the inside than the outside. That's going to start to come inwards. I'm going to do a little step action here. So as I get to where I started, I'm just going to keep going right up and over. I'm still getting it to go in. I'm putting it on the inner side on the inner half of that previous coil. Squeezing it in with between my thumb and 2 forefingers. I've got it here. It does feel a little thin in this area, so I'm going to take a little piece of clay and attach it on the inside just to thicken up that little piece because it feels a little thin. So now you can see it's starting to go back in. If there's a sharp corner, you can always do like a little adjustments. I'm just going around to make sure that it's even, feels all right. Squeezing little parts where it's thicker. And then the same thing here. You blend those coils together to make sure that it's solid and supporting both sides of the pot as you do it. You can use your thumb, you can use a stone, you can use a brick. You probably should not use your dog's tail. I don't think that's going to work very well. Probably don't use a feather duster. I would not use a carrot. But you can see that there's this thick texture going on, and that's fine. I'm not worried about it. It's connected. That's what matters, because I can take the rib, the knife, whatever you have, and I can go back over and smooth it out. As if I was icing a cake or spreading cream cheese or a very thick chocolate mousse. It's all good. So that's how you do that. That's it. I'm going to do one more just because, but it's going to be the same thing. Just to see how it goes. You don't have to watch. You can if you want. I won't be brokenhearted if you don't. I just want to do one more because I feel like it could have one more, and then I'll set it out in the sun to dry a little more. I'm going to try and finish it up today. Very thin right there. I'm just going to try and squeeze that back together. I am doing this quickly, but that doesn't matter. Oh, it's wet over here. Stop going over there. God. Why do you do that? Why do you make it difficult? Squeezing on the inside, attaching with my thumb, doing a little attachment pinch. Take the leftovers, roll that out a little more. And it looks like this side is a little lower, so I'll just do a little bit here, try and even it out, like you do when you've got nothing else going on, when your friends are out working, and you've got the house to yourself, and you can make a mess of their kitchen, and they'll never know unless they watch this video, which they won't, because they don't care. It's all good. Just get on the level of the pot to see what it needs. Might do a little bit over here. That's fine. That's fine. Using up my clay, blending it all in. And once you get a form like this and it's kind of floppy, if you let it dry, that's fine. You can also paddle it, reshape it, and you can adjust the form from there. It is more difficult to smooth out the inside at this point. So I'm going to start with the outside just to make sure that the foil's connected, and then I'll shift the inside. Yeah, it is difficult. Anyway, that's how you attach the coils, and then you can spend the time smoothing, adjusting, working on the surface texture. That's a pot made in 3 demos and 1 video demo. So there you go. It's wobbly, it's a little off center. Maybe I'll show you what it looks like later, but maybe I won't. So don't get your hopes up. Good luck on your work. Do your best. It's rule number 2.